Hello YouTube community, thank you very much for joining me today. Hopefully everybody's doing well. Welcome to my channel. And today's video we're going to be focusing not so much on the monetary value of comic books, which I've been seeing a lot of, and that's alright. I've been doing that myself, but today we're going to be focusing more of the sentimental value side of things. So I've got a few books here today that I'm going to share with you that focuses more on that, and that mean more to me than just a dollar value. Okay, so I'll see you after the short video intro. Okay, thank you very much for joining me again. Welcome to my channel. Comic Book Sniper here, along with my sidekick buddy Mark III. We welcome you and thank you very much for joining me on this a special segment that's close to me and on a personal level, because rather than focusing on the monetary value, which comic books do have, and that's there's definitely nothing wrong with that. That will also, that's a big part of our hobby. But the other part of the hobby that I don't see a lot of lately, but that I would like to see actually more often, is the sentimental value of things. And to me, there are certain books that really kind of touch myself on a personal level, because they bring back memories, or they have some sort of attachment on a personal level. So some of them might have some monetary value, but more than anything have a sentimental value and something more attached to them than just dollars. Okay, so no real particular order, but the later ones will actually have a little bit more of a meaning, but I'll go through them. So first up, I'm just gonna share with you this one. This is Uncanny XMen number 94. Of course, this has this is a pretty big key, and of course has monetary value. And one of the things that makes this so special to me is not only does it have value, is I remember when I was growing up, going to a comic book store with my friends. I remember there was when I live in Canada, just for those of you who don't know, and I grew up in Winnipeg, and so my friends and I, there was only a couple of people that I collect comic books with, that I shared the hobby with growing up, and then one of them actually had this book, and he was one responsible for turning me on to this book. And I remember a time when this book actually had more value. I don't know if it was just in my area, because of course the internet wasn't around back then, but this book actually had commanded more than the giant size X-Men number 1. So, and by doing so, I remember my friend showing me this book, and he had it, and he was telling me all about this this new team and how great they were, and I agreed. And I lusted after this book so much, but of course I couldn't afford it at the time. All I could do was admire it from afar. So for a very, very long time, I could not, and I didn't have this book, and that's why it's always held a special value to me, as far as the wanting part of the hobby and what it represented, and it kind of ties me back to that time and the friends that I grew up with. So that's my X-Men number 94. So another one is this Hercules number 1. It's actually Hercules number 1, 2, 3, 4, I believe up to 5 that I had, and maybe 4, I can't remember now exactly. Memory's starting to go after a while. But I remember, I don't have those ones, but I did find this in the dollar bin. Again, this doesn't have a lot of monetary value in it, but it does mean a lot to me, because I remember for some reason I really enjoyed reading this book, and it brings back memories of bringing home this book from the store and reading it in my bedroom. And at the time, I remember, I have flashbacks of my room and how I had it all set up. I even had, which is not a good idea, I had my books actually that I liked, pinned up to my wall. Not the book itself, but the bag, right? I pinned the bag up so that I could display them. Not a very good idea, since of course we know that sunlight fades books, and a few of them did get faded after a while, and before I managed to take it down. I kind of learned the hard way that way. But but regarding this book, it just brings me back that memory of enjoying and reading comic books at the time when I really didn't. I wasn't in it for anything other than the love of reading and enjoying and collecting comic books. Excuse me, sorry. And this is one of those books, so I'm glad to share that with you guys. Okay, another book, and I might have mentioned this before in past videos if you've seen any of my other videos. This is Amazing Spider-Man number 33, and I mean, this brings back so much memories as far as collecting comic books back then, especially this one. I mean, the classic Ditko cover of Spider-Man being helplessly trapped. I remember having this book and just fascinated with the cover and how, and even inside the story as well, how you have the sense of inevitability, trapped, and there's nothing he could do about it, and then of course the hero within him rising, that kind of stuff. It just captures everything that is so great about Spider-Man to me, and that I was able to, it just really resonated with me, and have that memory come back when I see this book. It's just it's priceless, again, that's why, I mean, this is a great Silver Age book, and back then, it was it's not like super key, but it definitely, more than anything to me, holds a very good sentimental value. All right, and then another one, this one has of course monetary value, but more than anything, this is Conan number 1. And it has to do with the monetary value, why this book is important to me, because I remember my friend, my same friends, one of them that I collected with, he owned this book, and he used to, kind of hold it over me, as in, I tell you, this book is going to be worth a lot of money someday, and this is the one to get, and if you can get it, why not? You should really get it. And I remember that talk that we had, when we're in the basement, sharing our books and collecting and trading and stuff. And I remember, he really sold it to me and made me really want this book, not just because it was going to be worth something, but because he sold it to me, right? And so for a very long time, I didn't have this book. I wanted it, but the memory of wanting this book, just that alone gives me, takes me back to those days. And so that's why this, even though I didn't actually own it at that time, I just remember this book giving me that memory, because I lusted over this book for so long, just because of, it was gonna set me for life, basically, is what he had convinced me of this. So that's why this book means something to me. All right, and that's and by the way, this is graded CGC 6.0. All right. So the next one, well, let's see. This is going to be a little bit harder to. Okay, this is Superman versus Shazam. This is Treasury Edition, so it's a very big book, and I remember why this book means a lot to me is actually with my cousins. They also collected comic books, and I remember getting sitting down with them about this book and just kind of going over it, because sometimes we would read them together, right? And something about this book I remember very vividly. I mean, this is such a great book, and the artwork in here is phenomenal. I mean, check this out. First thing in the page, you got, very ominous. But let me get to the part where I remember so vividly, and when the fight, check that out. I mean, this is when it's on, man. It's really on, and you can tell by this by this panel, the splash page here, sorry, the centerfold, that there's going to be something good here. So this part right here, where it says, where they start to go at it, the fight is on, and then there's one line here where you can see Captain Marvel throwing. He goes, "Throwing rubble? You got to be joking, right?" This is Superman. This is the Man of Steel. Because what's next? Gotta love. This is when it kind of hit home to me how powerful Superman is. Check out this line. It says, "I can take the full impact of a nuclear blast. I've dived into the depths of a sun-going nova. I've battled creatures big enough to devour whole planets. And you try to smack me with a brick mud ball? What a laugh!" I mean, that to me just spells Superman right there. And if I was in Shazam's Captain Marvel's shoes, I'd be like, well, maybe I took on more than I can chew here. So that's why, I mean, the story in here is so great that that's why I love this book so much, and brings back great memories of sitting down and reading this along with my cousins that I grew up with. So that's that one. And then next is, it's a two-parter. This is Uncanny XMen 212 and Uncanny XMen number 213. Now, why these two books specifically is because this is the first time Wolverine in continuity. This is actually in timeline, not, I know they're saying that Wolverine 10, but that's more of that came out after this. So in actual time, this is their first meeting, and this is the Mutant Massacre era. Great story. So, but this epic battle took place, and it just, the fury and the ferocity that these two guys went at it on these pages, just, as a kid, as a teenager, basically, just reading this and getting so immersed in it just blew me away. And I was that's where I really fell in love a lot with these two characters, specifically Sabretooth as a villain. Sorry guys, I just I forgot. So much so that, I mean, I specifically love this cover. This cover, I mean, there's nothing about this cover that I don't love. I mean, just the sheer, you know, the closeness of it, how intense it is, it captures it all, right? So much so that I drew it myself, right? I had to sit down and actually try to imitate this drawing, and I actually thought I lost this for a very long time until for when one of our moves, I found it and I was like, oh, check that out. And when I did, it really brought me back so much that, you know, not just that, but let's see if I can do this correctly. But sorry, I'm just gonna move the camera. There you go. That's how much I love that cover. Had that done just over a year ago. All right, so sorry for all the shaking, but if a tattoo doesn't mean, you know, a lot of people they do tattoos for just for whatever and just decorative, and you know what, to each his own. But to me, I only have a couple, and this is only one. You know, this is one of them because of how it means that much to me. So that's why these two, but more specifically X-Men 213. Okay, and then second last one, and this is really recent, so recent it was only a few days ago. Last week was Father's Day, and I was given this by my kids on Father's Day. And how great is that? For them to, because we were at a comic show. They spent the day with me. They know how I love going to comic shows. My daughter specifically goes with me most often. My son once in a while. But you know, they kind of sprung this on me. They take off on their own. They like to I have such great kids that I love how they actually get along. They love each other's company. They can actually stand each other. I know some siblings can't, so you know, I feel really blessed and happy that they were able to do that. And then they went off, and you know, I know they buy stuff on their own. They have their own money. They like to buy other things other than comic books, and they did that on their own. But aside from that, when I got home that night, they also surprised me with this, as well as a couple other things. That's why, and this is Amazing Spider-Man 306. They know I love this cover. They know I love Action 1, and they found out that they were able to find this book, really super nice copy, very high grade, and that I didn't have this, and they took the time to actually get it for me. So definitely means a lot to me on a personal level. And then lastly, this this book here. Now, it's not so much, this is Back to the Future #1. This is a very new book, so it's not so much the book as this Christopher Lloyd signature. I had this, I met him at a Vancouver Comic-Con comic show, and had him sign this. And this, why this his signature means a lot to me. I got to meet him, super nice guy, really humble, you know, but more than anything, his Christopher Lloyd's character reminds me of the time when my father, who's passed away now, early on in his in his he was part of a sitcom called Taxi, and my dad was a huge fan of that show, and he was, every time he played his character, which is the mechanic who's always kind of stumbling around. My dad loved that character and how he portrayed him, and he's done really well, and got me to actually become a fan of Christopher Lloyd. So and see, every time I see him in any any roles that he takes on, always brings back memories of my dad, my father, that unfortunately he's gone now, but it does bring back memories of that, and that's why it means more to me to have his signature, just that, and that also takes me back. So that's the books. I mean, I have other books too that mean more to me, or sorry, not mean more to me, but mean something to me on a sentimental value. But these are just the ones that I thought I'd share with you for now. So I thank you very much for taking the time and sharing this very special time with me. So meanwhile, I'd also like to thank my subscribers. Thank you very much for doing that, and for doing so, you should be seeing some names coming up on the screen of my later subscribers. So big shout out to you guys as well. If you like this video and you want to see something like it, or other ones, if you like my videos, please go ahead and subscribe. I would really appreciate that. And go ahead and hit the like button, right? And if you like this video, as well as the notification bell, so that'll keep you caught up, to my other videos that I'm going to be making. And of course, leave a comment down below. I welcome any and all suggestions you have. I'd also like to hear which books mean more to you than just dollar value, right? I'd love to hear why those books mean so much to you, and what reminds you, or why they bring back memories and so forth. So yeah. Anyways, it was a difficult choice because there's so many good books that bring back a lot of memories, but I thought I'd just kind of hit on a few and share with you these ones. So yeah, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know what books you guys like as far as sentimental values, and while you guys are out making memories, new memories, or finding old ones out there, guys, just enjoy the hunt. All right, thank you very much. We'll talk to you later. Bye bye.